Welcome to the Books Between Friends podcast.
3 lifelong friends,
one shared obsession.
Books.
From epic fantasy to page-turning thrillers.
We dive into the stories we love
And the ones we just can't stop talking about.
So take a seat,
Grab a drink,
and get cozy.
All right. Hello, book friends. Welcome back. And speaking of cozy, what is keeping you cozy these days? You two? Because I can start us off really. And I wish I could have something just readily available, but it's not really these days because life is lifing. Yeah. And it's a bit of a churn lately.
Yeah.
So I guess if I had to pick anything, it's just spending time with Nick. Like, Nick is here and we're just having a grand old time.
I think it's great.
Yeah, and we've been watching Parks and Rec. Okay.
I love that show.
Yes.
Yay!
And
That's
I
one of
think
the
I've
best
mentioned
shows.
Yes, I think I mentioned it before for one of my cozy moments, but again, normally I feel sad when having finished a series, and I did watch the series, as we're recording this episode, I did watch the series finale of Parks and Rec last night, and so that was good. Like, it was such a good series finale that I couldn't really feel sad.
Yeah.
So similar to like Downton Abbey, I thought Downton Abbey had a perfect series finale, and I really wasn't sad to see it go because it was like, yeah, that story is complete. Like, there's nothing there that I had questions about or anything like that. So I felt very similar to Parks and Rec. I thought it was fantastic.
It's honestly a really great show. I love that show. It's one of those shows that you can watch over and over, and it's funny.
It's like one of those comfort shows.
Yeah.
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 So for me this week, I am kind of similar to where like life has just been kind of lifing lately. It's just been kind of a lot. I will say I'm finally done writing my dissertation up to this point. I'm not done writing the whole thing, so I can't say that yet. But for this phase of where I'm at, like I'm kind of done writing. So like this weekend, what I really did was catch up on everything I have been neglecting, which is my house, myself, my sleep. So like I slept in both Saturday and Sunday. I like cleaned the crap out of my house on Sunday. Like that made me feel so much better. I actually remembered to buy groceries this week. Things that you do on a normal like day-to-day basis, I just have been neglecting because I've been so overwhelmed, so busy. So that honestly like really helped me start off a really great week. So I'm really glad I got around to that, and that's what kind of kept me cozy. Especially the sleeping in part. I feel like I haven't been sleeping very well, and like I finally slept because I actually had dreams. So I was just like, ooh, I had dreams.
That's how you know it's a good sleep.
Exactly. Yeah. I was dreaming a lot about the books I'm reading right now, so it was very interesting.
Oh, how funny.
Well, the books I'm reading are a little intense, so my dreams were a little intense. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I was like, I already know where that's going, so it's all right.
Moving on.
Steph, what about you?
Oh my god.
Oh,
so this weekend, me and my husband went down to see family, and my sister-in-law was part of a whole book event. So she,
so jealous.
I know, it's so awesome. She sells flowers, and her sister-in-law was one of the people who like organized this event. It was called a book affair, and there was a bunch of like bookish vendors and like food, and it was just a great time. I was so excited that we were able, like our schedules worked out to be able to be there, and it was great. So I'm gonna do a little bit of show and tell. So if you're not watching our YouTube videos and you want to see this,
you need to
watch
right
our
now.
YouTube videos.
Yeah.
I got this little Kindle cover.
I love it.
And it says definitely not smut. And then this one I'm so excited about. I always love a good bookmark, and especially like a unique bookmark. This is like a rose gold metal laser cut bookmark.
That's beautiful.
Of a leaf.
I love that.
Yeah, I was so excited to find this. So
love that.
Yeah. Especially
that's
going
my
into the
little
fall.
haul. I know. That's exactly what I was thinking. Like, oh my gosh, this is going to be my fall bookmark. So yeah.
And you almost got what at this book fair place?
I almost got a tattoo. Yeah.
Did they have a tattoo vendor?
They did. I know.
Oh my gosh, that's so
They
cool.
actually did. And they had like all these bookish things, but I just like couldn't decide. So
There's
I
so
ultimately
many.
decided against it.
Yeah.
But, you know, maybe next time.
That's so cool. I love that.
Yeah.
I was like, I totally would have gone for the book tattoo because I've been wanting to get one forever. Like, I just want a really cute little book one on my ankle. Like, that would be so cute. Yeah, forever.
Yeah, so needless to say, I was in my element. I just loved being around all these book vendors and like all the stuff that they were selling. A lot of it was like handmade things that they made themselves. So I love supporting small vendors and stuff like that. It was just great.
We definitely need to go as a group. Like, we have to hit up one
I know,
together.
yeah.
That would be so
We
much
need
fun.
to find one that like works out for all our schedules to do together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what's hard about being an adult is that schedules don't align very easily.
I know, it's so annoying.
Like, I'll look for some time on your calendar, and it's like
Right. Nothing.
completely full. Yeah. Okay. So speaking of bookish vending events, I think it would be so cool because we live in the age of side hustles, right?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
you have to have a side hustle. And I feel like I have like a lot of side hustle ideas, and I feel like Nick can probably attest because I always talk about them nonstop. But one that I've kind of had for a while and am interested in doing and could see how it could be part of bookish events, maybe even as a team, is creating some kind of drink business, right? And having your menu items like directly related to bookish things, like something like the night court, lemonade or something like that, or something like that. But I have been thinking about that a lot, and you talking about your bookish event that you went to, I was like, if there's room for drink vendors,
I was just
how
gonna
could
say.
you like combine like bookish things and that into one? I think
No,
that'd be cool.
totally. Well, they did have some like food vendors there, so I mean, it would work out.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
I was gonna say a lot of book clubs do that. So like whatever book club, whatever book they're hosting for the month, like they'll pair it with like a drink that they came up with that like pairs off with that book. So that would be really
true.
cool if like the next time we get together, we do like a little sample menu and like make like these little videos to like showcase our drinks or whatever. And that way we can build up to maybe potentially having like our own booth one day.
Yeah, that would be
really
That'd be so
cool.
cute.
Okay,
Yeah, and we could
definitely
do
have to
like
get that done.
I know on the side we can have like blind date with the book. Like you could get a drink and a blind date with the
That
book
would
or
be
something like that.
so cool. Okay,
Yeah.
we're getting together in September. Because I don't know that we have time in
She's like,
August to
"I already
plan
said."
anything.
Yeah.
I already thought of a name for one. It should be Cauldron Boil Me
Oh, I love
Oh,
that.
I love it.
from ACOTAR.
Yeah.
Yes, I love it. Yeah. All right, book friends, we are so stoked to be discussing the next section of our current read, which is Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. Before we get too far, I am going to send it back to Jen for our standard public service announcement. So take it away, Jen.
So before we get started, friends, quick spoiler warning. If you're listening to this episode, we're assuming you've read through chapter 15 of the book. So there will be spoilers throughout our discussion. And before we get started, I just really want to give a shout out to our sister Sledge, who gave us a 5-star review on our podcast. She said, hands down, best podcast. If you love books, listen, you won't be disappointed. And I actually know who this person is, and she's been reading our books so she can keep up with our podcast. So I love that.
Love that.
She's been getting the audiobooks
So cool.
of our books, and she's actually been asking like what some of our upcoming books are so she can get started on it now since she has a busy like schedule. So I love it. I love that we're recruiting more book nerds into our circle. It's awesome. So if you guys want to be a part of this group, part of our discussion, like give us a review, let other people find us, help us grow our podcasts.
Thank you, Sister Sledge.
Thank you. That's awesome. All right. So before we go into our 3, 2, 1s, I'm going to give us a little bit of a recap over what happened in this section. So we start out Kelsier, or some people say Kelsier, or Kel. Whatever. Kelsier takes Ven outside of Luthadell's walls, introducing her to, because they're still continuing their training, their bit of training. And we get introduced to Mist Wraiths and to Says is how we agreed to say this character's name. He's kind of unassuming, but he's very knowledgeable. They're Destination in this section is Lord Renault's estate in Felice, where Vin will take on a disguise of Valette Renault, which, is completely fabricated, right? Because the whole story is fabricated. It's how they plan on infiltrating the great houses. We get more sessions with Kelsier training. She's sharpening those Mistborn skills, while Says begins sharing some information about lost religions. And so there's over 500 of them. So there's a lot to talk about there.
Yeah.
Vin's training isn't just about allomancy, it's about passing as nobility too, so she's getting a little bit of that knowledge and training as well. Kelsier decides she'll make her social debut at an upcoming ball that is hosted by House Venture. In our next part of this section, we're back in Luthadel. Vin learns about some emotional allomancy from Breeze, observing how soothers and rioters can turn a crowd receptive to Kelsier's rallying speech against the final empire. So we have some movement in the plan, and we get to see some flex from Breeze here, right? So that's pretty cool. We get some signs of danger here with the Steel Ministry as well that we can dive in and talk about more. Our next section, we get to Vin steps into the world of politics at Keep Venture as Valette. She's nervous at first. She realizes the nobles see only her cover identity, not the street girl that she's always been. So that's a little bit of a juxtaposition here. She spots a surprising character that we'll talk about, I'm sure. But we get introduced to another character. We get introduced to Elend, an eccentric young noble with a habit of
reading at balls. That
balls.
he's reading.
Yeah,
That made me
I
giggle.
love that about him.
I know, me too.
Because that would be me finding a corner away from everybody.
Literally all three of us. Yeah.
Yeah, this is great. Y'all having fun? Fantastic. I'm having fun too.
Yeah. I'm going to see myself out.
Curiosity gets the best of Vin here. She follows Kelsier and she learns about Adium and how it grants Mistborn brief glimpses into the future here. And it reminded me a little bit of that movie like Looper, or any movie that has like a similar concept. The night ends here at the heart of the Empire itself with Creedic Shaw. So that propels us to this next section. Some Adium buys her moments, but she's severely wounded and barely escapes with a leather-bound book clutched in her arms. Before the killing blow falls, someone, not Kelsier, rescues her. The crew is furious with Kelsier for endangering her, but relief comes when Says arrives carrying Vin to safety. As she heals, Says examines the mysterious book, written in an old language, and hints he may be able to translate it. All right, book friends. Now let's get into a deep dive portion of our conversation. Just a reminder, again, we've obviously switched things up for the way we discuss this book from our usual structure. Again, let us know if you like it. And if not, we can find something else or go back to the way we were. But we want your input for sure, because we're just trying things. We're a young podcast and we're trying to see what works and what doesn't. Yeah. So yeah, give us your feedback. So
Please.
Without further ado, let's get into our 3, 2, 1.
Yes.
I'm not going to start things off this time. Would anyone else like to start things off?
I can start things off.
Fantastic.
Let's do
3
it.
things that stuck out to you. What were they?
All right. So, man, you know what though? As you were like summarizing what we read, I'm like, that was a good part. That was a good part. That was a good part. Earlier we were discussing that, we just had kind of a lot going on in our lives, like trying to get into these chapters. And so maybe like we didn't have as much to discuss, but like now I'm thinking maybe there is a lot more to talk about here.
Honestly, yeah.
Right? So one of the things that stuck out to me, and I kind of mentioned this in our last episode, was the way Ven is progressing in her skills. So in the beginning, we're seeing, in the beginning of chapter 9, we're seeing Ven fighting against like an opponent. It doesn't say who she's fighting against. It just talks about her efficiency and how quick she is with her moves. And it shows that she's kind of winning. Like she's winning at whoever she's fighting or whoever she's going up against. And so obviously I knew it was Kelsier. I knew it was another training session. But I loved how it like really described her moves, because it sounds like she's really got a good handle on her skill now.
She's like a natural.
Yeah, exactly. And so, of course, Ben gets upset that she doesn't win. Like, she almost gets Kelsier, but of course Kelsier wins. And so she gets upset because she wants to be better than him already. And it's only been a few months. So, like, I thought that was really interesting. But, Kelsier reminds her, like, hey, you've only been doing this for a very little time. And everything considered, like, you're doing an amazing job already.
Right.
So later, he's like talking to Says, and he like tells them, like, it took me months and months to learn how to manipulate my pushes and pulls, but Van seems to be knowing all of these instinctively. So, like, it's making me wonder if Vin is different than Kelsier. I kind of said it in our last episode where I think Vin will be more powerful than Kelsier. So I'm thinking, is this foreshadowing that, right? And how does the Mistborn truly work? Like, now I have a bunch of questions in my head. It was mentioned before that Kelsier's powers like snapped into place when he was in that pit, but
Right.
it sounds like Vin was born with this ability. So it's kind of like, what's happening here? How does it work? Am I picking up on something important? Am I not picking up on something important? I don't know. We'll see.
No, I totally think you're onto something because to your point, Kelsier's abilities kind of like out of trauma came to be. And then, but Vin has been able to use her abilities even without knowing what they were, just from like the trace amounts of these different elements in her system.
Yeah.
And she didn't know what it was called, but she would call it her luck, and she kind of knew how to use it without even really knowing what it was. So
Yeah.
I think you're on the right track with that.
Yeah, and it's really interesting to me because I have a different thing for my prediction. So I don't feel bad saying this here. So I have what you're saying makes me think like a possibility could be that maybe he's not truly Mistborn because he wasn't born with it, right? It snapped into place. Or maybe he was born with it and it snapped into place. But either way, like I don't know, maybe he's not Mistborn because it does seem to happen very naturally for Vin.
Right.
Which would beg the question, if he's not truly Mistborn, do other people have just one ability that they can use if they're mistings, right? Like, maybe that's not true either, because if he's not really Mistborn, then what could the potential and possibilities be for the rest of them?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
No.
maybe it's just like propaganda that the Lord Ruler has like put in place, right? Because that seems to be a common theme that we're seeing here, like conditioning, right? Reen conditioning Vin. The Empire has conditioned everyone, right? So maybe that comes into play here.
Right.
Yeah, no, it definitely, like, there's a lot of small attentions here and there when it comes to like Vin's ability versus Kelsier's ability. So like, I know there's something
Right.
there. I'm just
Yeah.
really curious to see like how that works out. But I really still think that Vin's going to be more powerful than Kelsier at one point, and she's getting there pretty quickly.
Right. Yeah, she's
But-
catching up to him.
Emotionally, I don't think she's ready to handle that kind of power yet. So,
Right.
okay, so the other thing that I found interesting was the interaction between Ben and Lord Elend at the ball. It was a very small interaction, but to me, it was just very impactful, and I think a lot's going to be coming out of this. At one point, Ven decides she needs to kind of get away from like sitting at a table watching all these like people, right? So she goes to a balcony just to kind of get some time away. After she had already turned on a few people's like, what is it? Requests to dance, right?
To dance with them.
Yeah. And so she's getting some air and she runs into this lord who she doesn't know who he is, but later come to find out he was actually Lord Elend Venture. So he was the heir to that house who was throwing the party. So he's a big deal, but she didn't know
And
that
this
at
is
the
the
time.
most powerful noble house, right?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
So the fact that he's the heir and she didn't know who she was talking to, but later she does say that she felt very comfortable with him. So I'm
Yeah,
just
it's
like,
interesting.
okay, like there's something going on here, right? So my little romantic heart was latching onto potential
Of
romance
course.
here.
Of course. It's giving
Cue the meet
Bridgerton,
cute.
like,
This is the
met
meet
him at the
cute.
ball.
Yeah.
Exactly. So he like takes this book up there. He's talking about how he doesn't like these balls either. And she's like feeling comfortable enough to tell him that she doesn't either. Like that she's new to all of this, right? That she's like, that this is all just new and she's nervous about it. But dare I say that there's like a friendship forming here? I mean, enemies like being friends. I kind of see that coming. I was just kidding about the potential romance. Ha ha ha. I know that's not really what this book is about, but I just thought it was really funny that the Lord was like looking for a quiet place to read, because honestly, so same. Like we were just saying that earlier. I wouldn't want to be at a ball like that either. Like knowing that people have this expectation and like view of you already, like I would want to go read as well. Like I'd go take my Kindle somewhere, right? But no, I'm curious. Like I know that it's more than just an accidental run-in. This is not an accident. This is like something bigger here, something more political. Like we were saying, like the political scheming is also very interesting when it comes to fantasy books. So I'm so curious to see how this plays out.
Well, I mean, I don't think you're off with this. Like, they obviously hit it off right away. They were bantering and they both were wanting to get away from the crowd. So, like, they already have that connection there. Whether or not it's romantic, you know, we have yet to see. But definitely there's some chemistry, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Honestly, when you were talking, I was like, man, if I know, like, some basic context of what this book contains, like the magic system, and I just heard that, I was like, he's giving a little bit of soother energy, right? Because she does talk about like how comfortable she is with him, you know?
Very true.
Yeah.
Okay.
But she's also being trained in when to detect that too, so.
Right.
She did try to detect it. Yeah, she couldn't. But she's also not that powerful yet.
Right. She's still learning.
Yeah. And you just never know who is soothing you or not. Like you can't always pick that up, you know?
Right.
Okay. So the other moment, and this goes back to what I said in our first episode, like I love Kelsier and Ben, but there are just moments where I think that I'm just like, why would you do that? Yes, exactly. I just want to throttle them, right? So I was low key annoyed that Ben is still so distrustful of Kelsier, which I know, give it time, I get it. But she is constantly sneaking around trying to see what he's up to, like always following him around, always checking up on him, pretty much waiting for the other shoe to drop. And it's just so annoying to read to me because I'm getting a little sense of deja vu here where this is how I felt with Layla and Kel from A Darker Shade of Magic before she finally became my favorite character. So like I will say it did happen. But it's just like she kind of like with Layla, she was just not really seeing the danger in what was happening, right? She was just being plain stubborn about it. Like, well, I have a I have a right to be here. Like, why wouldn't I follow you? Why can't I go? I'm just as powerful as you are. Like, you know, I deserve to be here. I'm just like, no, bro, you don't. Like, you don't know the danger behind of what you're doing. Think a little bit instead of just trying to make yourself come off as like this all-powerful Mistborn when you're not there yet, honey. Sorry. I mean, she almost died. Because her curiosity got the better of her.
Maybe it'll be a wake-up call for her. You know, right now at the end of this section, she's still unconscious. So, you know, we'll see what that experience does to her growth.
And then with Kelsier, what the heck was what was he thinking attempting to break in to the freaking Lord Ruler's palace? Like, crazy. What are you thinking? You literally could have jeopardized this whole mission, or you did jeopardize this whole mission. You know, like they were there, like they almost died because people saw you in there. They caught you trying to break in. And you're not thinking about your team here. You're not thinking about how they could get killed, how you could get followed, how all of this could affect your team. You're just thinking about you right now. And like, to me, it just solidifies what I thought.
Yeah. And doing that was what got Kelsier caught and sent to the pits in the first place.
Exactly.
And so he's trying to do it again. And then also, he and Vin are the only Mistborn in this group that are trying to overthrow the Empire. Like, if they don't have them, like, they lose two very powerful Allomancers. Like, what could that do to this whole rebellion?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. You jeopardize the whole mission. All because you were curious as to what's in that room. And I get it. I understood his reasoning behind why he's trying to do it. Like, maybe there's a clue there. But he didn't even get the clue. Like,
I know.
They got nowhere from this mission.
They still don't know.
Yeah, they got nowhere from this mission. And so, those were, I think, 3 really impactful moments. The whole, like, breaking into the palace of the Lord Ruler, like, I don't know if one of y'all has that in your 3 moments, but definitely want to circle back to that if we don't.
Honorable mention. All right. Well, I can go. So 3 things that stuck out to me. I love how this team is already functioning together, right? Like, obviously there's been past experience with Kelsier and the others, right? Vin is totally new to this, and that's where we get a lot of the world building from, and character dynamics. But I just like how they function. They're like a well-oiled machine, and how it's like common knowledge that, your smoker is the one that, you hide out in, like you hide out in their base of, and that becomes base of operations, right? Because
Right.
they make you undetectable. And so like that, I thought that was cool. Like how just like there's this infrastructure on how the team works. And so yeah, they are like a well-oiled machine here. And like seeing Breeze do his thing and stuff like that, like to hear about it and hear about them talk about themselves and what they can do and what they bring to the team is one thing, but to see it actually take action, that's really cool. So that's one thing that stuck out to me. Another is just the dynamic between Vin and Kelsier here, because it is clear that she is the Luke to Kelsier's Yoda.
Yeah.
So like there's this mentor-mentee relationship, and in fantasy we love our tropes too, and this is a very common one that we see across the board, is a mentor and their mentee. And so that's going to play into my prediction that I have later, and stuff that we've already kind of hinted at, talking about. But yeah, I do love their dynamic, and seeing how perfectly imperfect both of them are, and how they're going to probably need each other and bounce off of each other to develop in their arcs. So
Yeah.
the overall third thing that just stuck out to me is just how clandestine everything is. Like it's very noir meets fantasy, and I love it. Like it's a heist, and like to me in my mind and I don't want to like take away anything from it by comparing it to something else, but to help make sense of it, it's like Six of Crows meets Ocean's 11 meets Dune, like
Okay.
because of like how gritty the world is. Like that's where I got the Dune vibe from. And so yeah, I love how Cloak and Dagger everything is.
Yeah.
And the mist coming in and creeping in at night, and the swirliness of it, and how that matches the cloaks that they wear and why they wear them. Like it's all very like, I love it.
So
Yeah. I agree. I'm loving this world as well. Like there's so many elements that remind me of other things, but just the way that everything has been put together is like nothing I've ever read, So love it. Okay, so my three things, I'm going to start off with the fact that Says is going to be teaching Vin how to be a noble lady. Says gets introduced in this section, and I see him as like a butler. What's funny is that like the imagery that was coming to my head, or like the dynamic that was coming to my head, was like the little orphan Annie who, gets adopted into this glamorous world from, Daddy Warbucks takes her under his wing, and he's a billionaire and he's a member of high society, and she's never experienced anything like this, and she's going to shake him up, So that was what I was thinking of when I was reading them interacting together, because she's training with Kelsier on how to use her allomancy, but she's also training with Says on how to be a noble lady. So like I can really see like montages of them, like rapid fire, like, okay, name all the noble houses, okay, eat, use all the silverware from like the outside in and all that stuff. Like,
yeah.
this is the stuff that this is what's putting her out of her element. This is the only thing that she seems to fear. Is like, she doesn't really seem to fear anything else. Like, she is jumping on the bandwagon with this crazy plan. She is jumping into the thick of things with her training with Kelsier. But this whole posing as a noble lady thing is what scares her. So it's just bringing a smile to my face as I'm reading, thinking about her trying to pretend to be something she's absolutely not and has never been. So
I
just love that.
I was getting like Mr. Carson vibes from Downton Abbey from Says.
Okay, yeah,
and Lady Mary, like they have a really great relationship. So like
I love that. Yeah.
I was kind of thinking of that when I was reading like Vin and Says.
Okay.
See, it's so funny that we were all comparing, because I can totally see that, but I can also see not Katniss and Haymitch, because I love Haymitch, but he has his place. But the soldier from District 13, and I can't remember his name, but there's like that dynamic between the two of them where he has to explain to her and bring her back to reality, like it's not just the 12 districts over here, but it's District 13 as well, and like let me introduce you to this concept because you've only known this for so long. Now let me tell you about what the real world is like.
Yeah.
Yeah, like teaching
So,
you the politics,
yes.
the dynamics and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I kind of saw that dynamic as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So I love that relationship right now, and I'll be excited to see. And like he saved her at the end, you know, so that's so awesome.
Yeah.
Also, like, what is his power? Because she was in a completely different city and followed Kelsier to the capital, and it's like hours away. And somehow he was able to
Be
make
there.
it in time to find her and save her. So anyway, more
I
to
have
come.
the same question when it comes to
Maybe
like
that's a
us
glimpse into
talking
one of
about
the
it.
other medals.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Who knows? And then the other thing that I've been latching onto, so this, I don't think we've mentioned this at all, but there are epigraphs at the top of every chapter.
Yes.
And they seem to be from like journal entries, but we don't know whose perspective they're from. And so I'm like, who's writing these epigraphs? Like whose perspective are we getting here? And it seems to be like someone who is leading a revolution or something like that. So like maybe getting vibes of, is it Kelsier? I don't know.
Yeah,
So
I
what
was
do you
thinking
guys think
that
about
too.
that?
I was wondering the exact same thing because like when we were reading Onyx Storm, like a lot of that was happening too, right? But we could tell who was writing what because it would always say at the bottom who wrote
Right,
that entry. But like here, it's definitely something I started skipping. Like in the beginning, I was skipping over them, but I was like, wait, these are actually impactful. I started
Yes.
going back and started rereading them, and I'm like you, Steph. Like I don't know who would be writing them. Is it maybe like a historical person, kind of like Desenia, where she writes down all the history down?
So
Well,
I'll
it's-
bring this up in our predictions, but I have a theory on this.
Okay.
Okay. Then I'll say what I have to say then, because
Okay.
it would be like what I think. But I think our predictions may align.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So anyway, that has been really piquing my curiosity. I want to know whose perspective we're reading in those. And then we talked about this a little bit, I think, but adium is, so Kelsier has been teaching Vin how to manipulate the first 8 elements, but there's a total of 10 and then plus an 11th one, maybe, possibly. Put a pin in that.
The mysterious 11th metal that he doesn't.
Yeah, he
that
hasn't
has.
really
Yeah.
said much about, but he
Yeah.
has. But anyway, so there's 8 that are like the basis of Allomancy, but there's these 2 others that he's kept from her. And she finally is like, you haven't told me anything about the last 2. And so he caves and starts telling her about adium. And adium is also the element that he was stealing from, was it House Venture in that first section? So I am so curious about this adium. Every other element has like almost like a yin and yang to it. So adium gives you this ability to see a glimpse into the future, right? So when you consume and burn adium, you see like a shadow of whoever your opponent is and what their next move is so that you can react before they even, make their next move. And I'm like, okay, if every element has like its opposite,
Right.
and the opposite of the future would be the past, what is this 10th element? And so I'm just like, my wheels are spinning here. I'm like, what is it? Like, I really need to understand how you can use that in combat. Because, I mean, in a short amount of time, the past is like not really going to help you.
Right.
But I don't know, if you like burn a lot more of it, do you get further into the past? And then like also with adium, if you burn a lot more of it, can you see even further into the future? They haven't really said that here, but I'm just like, okay, this is crazy.
Yeah.
And then there's supposedly this 11th metal that Kelsier claims could potentially kill the Lord Ruler.
Right.
If you know how to wield it. And so I'm just like, okay, these last 3 metals, I really need to know more. Like, what are you guys' thoughts on that?
So first, like, I want to make a comment about what he said about the 11th metal, because he said that there's rumors about it because he started the rumors. And I'm like, okay, bro, like you're starting rumors about something that you don't even know or have like any
Right.
like knowledge on. So I thought that was kind of interesting. I mean, obviously it's part of like the bigger plan, right? But the ADM, like I found it so interesting. So right now I'm reading The Ruthless Boys of the Zodiac, which is part of the Zodiac Academy. And one of them has the sight, so he can see into the future, right? And so obviously your future can change based on whatever decisions you make and the plans that you have. And so here ADM is kind of in the same way, like immediately into the future. And so if somebody else is burning ADM along with you, it starts intermingling your future with theirs, and a lot can happen within that. So I was like, man, you have got to be quick on your feet then. Like I would be like too stuck on like, oh wait, what am I going to do next? Like what are they going to do next? And then the whole moment would be gone, right? So I think that is such a cool thing to have, but you also have to be super clever and like super quick with it. I actually don't even know what the other one could be. Like your theory on like it being part of like glimpsing the past, like is kind of interesting, but I don't know what the other thing could do because I feel like all 8 have already touched on something big. What more could they do?
Yeah. So I'm wondering because it just opens the door of possibilities, right? Like we've heard of ADM. We haven't even heard of what like the 10th metal's name could be, so it's not talked about. And why is that? Like why is it dangerous? Like, and you just don't need to use it, period.
It must be.
Like maybe, I mean, we haven't seen the Lord Ruler up until this point. Maybe he was messing with something he shouldn't mess with and he got stuck in the past or something like that. Like, and maybe that's why the mist falls. Like maybe there's some kind of time continuum that way. I don't know. But it's interesting to think about.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah. So I thought along the same lines as you. I was like, if each one has its opposite, right? Like a yin and yang balance. Then it would make sense that you could glimpse the past
or manipulate the past.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Or maybe this 11th metal Kelsier so put forth could manipulate time, you know?
Okay.
Okay.
Like one can glimpse
very
it, but the
cool.
other one can help you manipulate it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. It would make sense that if there is an 11th metal, which I get suspicious about just because
I know, because you
it's
started
Kelsier.
the rumor about it.
Yeah, that maybe it's connected to all of them, right? To provide that balance.
Ooh, yeah. Interesting.
So much can happen.
And then something else that I forgot to mention about ADM is, so Kelsier was pondering ADM when he was about to, I think, try to break into the palace. Or no, I think he was doing another heist. But anyway, he mentions that 90% of all the ADM produced in the world has been stockpiled by the Lord Ruler. And the noble houses are basically only able to get a ration once a month of it. And they have to pay the Lord Ruler for it. So I'm just like, okay, what if, so part of their plan is to basically get their hands on the entire stockpile of ADM. What could that do if you had that much? And why have they been keeping such a tight leash on this metal? Anyway.
And he also revealed too that they're getting this metal from the pits that nobody knows about. Nobody knows, like even the great houses don't know that it's being mined from the pits. Like that's a big secret too that he revealed. So
yeah, and that's why the pits play a big part in their heist plan, right?
Right.
Because the houses don't know its existence, right? So it would force the Lord Ruler to be kind of
discreet
about sending any kind of troops there.
Yeah.
So that's why that part comes into play, which I thought was so cool.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Yep.
Fantastic. We've had our 3. Let's move down to our 2 characters that had impactful moments. What about you, Jen?
So I really loved this section because it brought out more characters and it brought out more of how they fit into everything. I know we learned about some of these characters in the first few chapters, but we really just got to dig in more into each of them. For my first one that I thought had a really impactful moment was, and I think that he's going to have an even bigger impact going forward, is Says. He's a terraceman, which apparently terracemen are like servants to the nobility, but he decided to help the rebellion. So that's why he's part of Kelsier's crew. What I found interesting about him was his was his knowledge on all the religious beliefs, because I feel like that's obviously going to have a bigger impact later, especially since they're trying to get rid of the Lord Ruler, who is their god right now. There's going to have to be some kind of religious system put in place to kind of take over that, right? And so he was talking about how there's 562 religions and belief systems, and that he has almost all of them memorized, which I thought was really interesting. I love that he's mentoring Ven. Like, you already kind of touched on this stuff. I love that he's mentoring her. I think they're going to have a really great relationship moving forward. And I know we're just touching the surface here on the relationship, so I want to know more on that. I also am wondering, and you brought this up, Steph, what kind of powers does he have? I feel like he has some kind of powerful power. I know it's kind of dumb, but like I think he's a powerful person, and we don't know that yet because he saved Ben from dying. Not even Kelsier could get away from the people that were attacking them. Like, he's the one that saved her. He got her to safety in time. Like, I want to know more. So I definitely I know he's a mysterious character right now, but I definitely want to know more there. The other little tidbit too that I wanted to just add was that Sayes was trying to introduce different religions to Ben for her to believe in something. And so he mentioned that they've been under the rule of the Lord Ruler for over 1,000 years now, that the Seal Ministry forbids worship of anyone but the Lord Ruler, and that the Inquisitors have diligently destroyed hundreds of religions. So he is making it his personal mission to make sure that they don't disappear, which I think is so cool. Just a little side note. So that's my first character that I feel like is already having impactful moments, but I think he's just going to be even more impactful later down, especially in this bigger plan. And I think he's going to become somebody very important to Ben, almost like a father figure to her. The other one that I thought was pretty interesting is Breeze. So I think he is such an interesting character. He's a very powerful soother. I really enjoyed reading that little part where he was soothing the people that Kelsier was meeting with as he was like trying to recruit like more people into the army. But what made me laugh was how he uses his powers to get wine for himself. Because I would 100% do the same. It was just funny.
Same.
It was funny because even one of the crewmen made a comment about it, like, hey, we cannot afford to do this every time you're here. We cannot afford wine every time you're around, right? But he's like, whatever. And he gets people to bring him wine, which is just hilarious.
I love the way he was like, but I'm parched.
Yes, that was so funny.
See, Pedro Pascal, like, he could do that.
Yeah. He could so do that.
Totally,
yeah,
I could see that.
But yeah, if I were a soother, I would totally be convincing people to bring me wine all the time. Like, I would be so set. But anyways, I really enjoyed what he was telling Ben about his powers. The idea, because also, like, not everybody likes soothers around them, right? And so he was telling her, you know, the idea of someone who could play with their emotions, who can mystically get them to do certain things, makes people uncomfortable, which I can totally understand. Like, if I was around somebody who was constantly manipulating my emotions, like, I would question what's real and what's not, right?
Yeah, like, you can't trust that person.
Yeah. But he made the comment that said, what they don't realize and what you need to realize is that manipulating others is something that all people do, no matter if you're a soother or not. He said, in fact, manipulation is at the core of our social interaction. So, like, I thought that was really interesting because it is about reading people, and it is about like telling them what you feel like they kind of want to hear, you know, like in social interactions. I'm not saying like with friends and stuff, like just in social interactions, it's kind of about playing to people's emotions, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like taking social cues. It's like beyond just pushing or pulling these elements.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I loved that too, like how they bring the morality into each of their abilities, right? Like, and the ethics that's involved with it. And so, yeah, like I probably wouldn't want to hang around a soother, but ultimately I do understand his point, right? Like we all manipulate. Some of it just have, you know, better means of doing it than others.
Right.
So, yeah, I thought that was just, you know, call it for what it is. So my two characters, I'm going to go with Vin again. And I will say impactful, not great moment, but, you know, seeing her distrust, I can tell, obviously is going to be a recurring theme.
Yeah.
And it does get a little frustrating at times, especially
Yeah.
within this section, because Kelsier
Oh, yeah.
gave her an opportunity to get out.
Yeah.
And she chose to stay.
Mhm.
And even with that, she's still being distrustful. I'm like, okay, I'm going to need you to, I'm going to need to knock some sense into you a little bit
Yeah.
here, because it will become an issue overall. I believe, like,
Yeah.
it's going to affect her, and it already is to some degree, because she doesn't, hold that trust that she needs to have, that the rest of them seem to have with each other,
Yeah.
up to a point, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think that'll be interesting to see how that develops. And I'm going to say that as well, because just even with the short amount of time that we've been reading about his character so far, we've gotten so much richness from it, right?
Yeah.
Because we have the magic system, we have the Lord Ruler, we have the rebellion, we have a pretty good glimpse into how the government and infrastructure of this world works.
Mhm.
But now we get
Right.
all the things in between it, like the culture and the religions, that makes this world even that much more rich, right?
Right.
It through Vin's eyes kind of, I don't know, cements everything.
Right.
And to seeing him train her up in the ways of the nobility, like, that's cool.
Yeah.
And I was with you, Steph. I was like, yeah, that I could totally see, montage seeds in the future
Right.
of them going through, training for nobility, training for Mistborn, training for nobility, training for
Yeah.
Mistborn,
So I'm going to repeat the Breeze one like Jen did. And so he had a lot of great quotes while he was showing her how he does his soothing.
Mhm.
But the one that stood out to me the most, this is him talking to Vin. It's all about understanding people. You have to read how someone is feeling, change that feeling by nudging it in the proper direction, then channel their newfound emotional state to your advantage. That, my dear, is the challenge in what we do. It is difficult, but for those who can do it well, there are vast rewards. So again, I mentioned this before when Jen brought it up, but it's more of like an art form is what I'm getting from him. Like, okay, yeah, if you have this ability, you could, either soothe or rile up someone's emotions, but there's an art form to doing it subtly. And there's even a moment when Vin is observing him doing this to the crowd that she noticed his touch when he's pushing and pulling people's emotions is very subtle. She almost couldn't detect it until she really honed in on her emotions. And so it almost makes me think of an artist. Like, some people have natural artistic abilities, but you go to school to get the training to really master those abilities and to really know how to use them properly. It's not just about pushing and pulling these metals. It's knowing how to do them well and not being so heavy-handed with it. Sometimes it's more powerful to do just a little bit where it's undetectable and you don't want to push them too far in one emotional direction. And that also helps me to have a little more respect for what he does.
Yeah.
Because he's so good at it.
Yeah. And I also thought that just from that one small interaction that Vin and Breeze had together, she picked it up like that. Like, she actually subtly soothed Kelsier and he almost did not catch it.
Right.
Yeah.
And it just goes to show how quickly she picks up these abilities. It's so cool. And then my second moment was actually when Ham was asking them whether this plan to overthrow the final empire was good or bad. So this is a little bit of a long one, but it's like, it's funny the way he brought it up.
I love this part.
Yeah. So he asks Vin if this plan is good or bad. And she says, I guess we're doing something good. The final empire has oppressed Ska for centuries, right? Right, Ham said. But there's a problem. The Lord Ruler is God, right? Vin shrugged. Does it matter? Ham glared at her. She rolled her eyes. All right, the ministry claims that he is God. God is the creator of all things, right? He is a force that dictates the law of the universe and therefore the ultimate source of ethics. He is absolute morality. Vin blinked. You see the dilemma? Ham asked. I see an idiot, Breeze mumbled. I'm confused, Vin said. What is the problem? We claim to be doing good, Ham said, but the Lord Ruler, as God, defines what is good. So by oppressing him, we're actually evil? But since he's doing the wrong thing, does evil actually count as good in this case? Vin frowned. Well, Ham asked. I think you give me a headache, Vin said. I warned you, Breeze noted. Ham sighed. But don't you think it's worth thinking about? So this rolls into a prediction that I had in the last episode that this Lord Ruler guy, I don't think he's a deity. I don't think he's a god. I think he established himself as a god for this reason. And this is the reason we should be questioning authority. And so he's bringing this up in a really good way, you know, by just asking simple questions that lead you to this conclusion. Like, is it good or bad that we're overthrowing this empire if he's God, if he's like the end all be all? And like, that's on purpose so that people don't question his power, so that people don't challenge his authority. So I'm loving this. And, you know, it's funny the way that it's brought up and like people kind of dismiss him as like, oh, you're philosophizing. But I think it's important. I think we should all think this way about every form of authority, about every dogma, you know?
Yeah.
Like, why not question?
Yeah,
Well,
it's hitting a little too close to home. Okay.
Yeah, no, for real. For real. Well, and there was a part, and I don't know if it was like around the same time, but I think they talked about the Lord Ruler and how people don't know him, they just fear him. And so it goes back to what we've already said. We've already said this several times where they fear something they don't know, right? Because nobody respects him. Nobody knows who he is. Nobody knows anything about this Lord Ruler, only that they fear him. And that's it. And that's how everybody's kept in line, you know?
Right.
I mean, and it makes sense on why the Ska are so the way that they are, where like rebellion doesn't even enter the equation for them because, like we've been saying, everyone has been conditioned to run the way it's been running for centuries, you know, at this point. And so
1,000 years.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So it's really interesting to see how effective propaganda can really be when you've had so much time to compound it and to make the message really, you know, drive home.
Yeah. Scary.
Yeah, so I love that moment, and I'm just like Team Ham, like keep asking those hard-hitting questions.
For real though, like I love that because like honestly, and it's funny because that Ben seemed kind of confused. Like she was questioning this whole thing too in the very beginning.
Right. Yeah.
And so
like, I think she's like definitely on the same track as Ham, but she still hasn't really broken free of this conditioning, you know?
Right.
So he was trying to get her there.
Right.
All right. So those were our 2 character moments per each of us. And now we're going to go into our favorite part, discussing some predictions. Jen, start us off.
So I couldn't really think of a big prediction. This is kind of an obvious one. Hopefully, like reading more of some of the next chapters will get me into like a bigger prediction. But like, I think that they're not being as subtle and as quiet about this whole thing as like they think they are. Like, I know they're trying to put a lot of like safety precautions in place so that they don't get caught. But I don't think they're being that subtle. Like, I think people know what they're doing. And I even think that the Lord Ruler, or like whoever the Lord Ruler is, like, I think he already knows. And I think that was like evident when they found out about the incident that happened with Cayman and his crew and how like they were brutalized. Like, I think that's a message to Kelsier and his crew. Like, hey, this is what's coming for y'all if y'all don't back down. So like, I think these next few chapters are going to be about their team being tested pretty much. They're going to get tested through, you know, like maybe the Inquisitor can't be fooled and distracted as Kelsier thought he could because they tried to do that earlier when they were trying to save Vin. But I think that they circled back around and they got them anyways in the end, which also means that Vin is a target. So that's going to be something too coming up in the next few chapters where, again, I think that they're going to get tested. Like this whole crew is going to get tested in some way.
And if they weren't already aware of this plan, they might be now that they tried to break into the palace and there were Inquisitors waiting for them. Like they knew about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could also sense that there may be a betrayal within the group, right? Because this is a large group, and it's not likely that you have such a large group where everyone is on the same side or can't be convinced to turn, right? Because at this point, I could see
Totally.
Kelsier's brother exposing them.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I could see Yedin even turning, like, ironically.
Anybody.
Yeah.
Literally, it could be anybody.
Because
Yeah.
it's been brought up already. It's been brought up a few times that, like, even Vin herself asked her, like, who betrayed you? And he was like, well, we don't really know if somebody betrayed us. We don't know if that's what happened. And so, like, he's in denial as far as to, like, him even thinking about the prospect of somebody in his crew betraying him. So, like, I think that's just foreshadowing that I think you're right. There is somebody betraying. There's a traitor within their ranks. And, like, that's also coming up, you know?
Yeah.
All right. So my prediction is, I talked about earlier the mentor-mentee relationship. It's a very common trope in fantasy, and we're seeing that here. It usually doesn't end up well for the mentor, right? Because to come full circle, the mentee has to, come within their power, own it, and succeed their mentor. And I think my prediction would be that we don't see Kelsier at the end of this book alive, or that he's the betrayal, right? And he turns to, like, the dark side, and he metaphorically dies by abandoning the mission because revenge has just consumed him, right? We truly do maybe see that anti-hero come about where he just turns villain. So I think both of those are plausible, but either way, like, Kelsier as we know him, I don't believe will make it to the end of this novel.
Interesting. Very interesting. Although I can definitely see that happening. Like, I know I don't know if this is a right comparison, but, like, isn't that what happens with Spider-Man? Like, he loses somebody he cares very deeply about, and it, like, pushes him
to become the hero.
The hero that he needs to be. Yeah.
Which, side note, by the way, when they talk about pushing and pulling metals to, like, propel themselves forward, I picture them as, like, Spider-Man in the air, like arcing through the air.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
And, like, they even talk about what I already forgot which metal shows the blue lines that leads you to
like the little
different
webs,
metal sources. Yeah, so I'm also picturing the same thing, because then they, like, push or pull to, like, grab that metal. That's so true. Okay, so my theory for this, so I brought up the epigraphs earlier in my 3 things, and my theory for who this person is in those epigraphs is the Lord Ruler.
Interesting.
Second.
I wonder, I wonder if maybe, because it almost sounds like he was also leading a revolution, and, like, he had good intentions by putting the final empire into place, but he ended up being a bad guy, and oppressing all of these people, the ska and everything. But not every villain sets out to be a villain. You know what I mean? Not every villain has bad intention when they start. And that's another big thing in these epic stories that we've already mentioned. Sometimes they start their mission with good intent, but end up being the villain. So I wonder if that's the Lord Ruler's case, and maybe we're seeing that unfold through these epigraphs.
Darth Vader.
Well,
exactly.
Yes,
that's
exactly.
What I was thinking.
Because I was thinking along the same lines, because it seems to be a theme in this book that choice and free will are very important, right? So, yes, I mean, no villain ever starts off with or thinks that they're the villain, right? They think that they're the hero. And so, yes, to your point, I 100% agree that these are from the Lord Ruler's perspective, that he faced a very similar situation as Vin and Kelsey are facing now. And so there was even a moment in one of the epigraphs that talked about, like, the deep or something like that, or like the dwelling or something like it started with the D. And then in that very same chapter, they were talking about history with that same reference. And so I was like, that kind of solidifies like this might be from the Lord Ruler's perspective, because that happened a long time ago. And so there was that, and I was like, I think that's going to be echoed in this first book, like a choice like that with Kelsier. And ultimately by the end of this series with Vin, she'll have to make some kind of choice, because I think the Lord Ruler and Vin are on the same playing field. I don't think Kelsier is on that same playing field.
Like
with them,
power-wise.
as far as like power
Yeah,
wise, yes.
their power.
Interesting. I'm going to have to pay more attention to these epigraphs now.
Yeah.
Well, I learned to pay attention to them from you with Onyx Storm and
Storm.
Fire.
They were
Yeah,
so
yeah.
important, y'all. I know.
Yeah.
But I don't know why. Like, I didn't put as much emphasis on these. I guess because, like, it didn't sign off on who it was. So I was just like, but
Yeah.
I should have known better.
But that's intentional.
I know.
Yeah.
Should have known better.
All right, you guys. So that was our discussion on chapters 8 through 15 of Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. Thank you for joining us and interacting with us on our socials. And we want to hear from you guys. Like, this discussion can continue on all of our platforms. Comment or like leave us a note on what you guys think. And remember that all of our social media handles are Books Between Friends Pod. And then next time we'll be discussing chapters 16 through 23. So make sure to read before you listen to the next episode.
Yay.
Thank you.
Hey, all right. So, like Steph said, we are reading chapters 16 through 23 for our next section. So the rebellion is gaining momentum, but so are the risks. In next week's episode of Books Between Friends, we follow Vin deeper into the dangerous game of noble politics, while Kelsier pushes the crew toward an uprising that could shake the final empire to its core. Friendships are tested, secrets surface, and the mists themselves may be hiding more than shadows. Ooh. From whispered alliances and gilded ballrooms to blood on the streets of Luthadel, every choice is starting to count, and the Lord Ruler's gaze might be closer than anyone dares to believe.